Hello everyone and welcome to the MadyMack podcast. This is episode 1. This is going to be a podcast all about different types of making. I know that these are usually more of a knitting thing, but I enjoy multiple crafts. And I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Madeline. I have been crafting of some sort for the majority of my life. I learned how to knit when I was in 1st or 2nd grade, but the only thing I knew how to do was make scarves. It's just long, thin scarves, and there are really only so many of those you can have in your life. So I kind of stopped after a while. I've only pretty recently actually picked it back up. In the meantime, when I was in middle school, probably, I got a sewing machine, made a couple of different things, and then I didn't really have anyone to help me with that quite as much. My aunt sews, but she doesn't make clothes, and so I kind of got stuck and just put it away. And then whenever I was in college, I took an interior decorating sewing class, which is what the Simplicity book here is from. That was very helpful. Learned just basic sewing techniques, learned how to put in buttonholes, attach invisible zippers, just make basic seams, curved seams, straight seams, all kind of the basics. And after that, I was ready to go. I started making a lot of my own clothes. I also started quilting. I also enjoy embroidery of a fairly basic sort, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. Nothing elaborate like you see on Pinterest, but still something that's a lot of fun. And not one other, I do also crochet, but I pretty much only make blankets as far as crochet goes. But also, I just grabbed this kit as an example because I don't really know what to call this. I just kind of call it felt applique, but the main kits I've always seen are by Briochealicious. I don't know if anyone else always had these decorations for Christmas when you were growing up, but my great grandmother was very into these, and she had made all of the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren in my family. She made us stockings, and my mom had a tree skirt like this growing up, so whenever I moved out, I wanted some of my own. So this is a tree skirt kit that I would really like to make before Christmas this year. And then last year I made a stocking for my husband, so he would have a coordinating one. But that's something else that's a lot of fun. And speaking of, I do live with my husband Matthew and our 2 cats. This here is Moo. Other cat's name is Baby, and I'm sure she'll show up here at some point. And we currently live in Connecticut. I am originally from Arkansas, but my husband's in the Navy, so we move around quite a bit. Sorry, she's scratching. We recently moved to Connecticut from Virginia, and my husband's at a training for a while, so I'm actually going to go back and stay in Arkansas, which is why I decided to go ahead and do this podcast now. I wanted to do at least one while I'm here with all of my craft supplies, surrounded by all the inspiration, before I go and stay with my parents for a little while. And hopefully, if this goes well, I'll still make a few podcasts while I'm with them. So, oh yes, sorry, I'm just looking down at my notes here, trying to make sure I don't forget anything. I did pull out this one project. So as I said, I really only knew how to do straight scarves. And then also, while I was in college, I had a lot of free time in college. I am an accountant, a CPA. I majored in accounting in college, but by the end, like my last year or so, I didn't have that many classes and I had a lot of free time. So what did I do? I picked up more crafts. So as I said, I took that sewing class, and I also picked out this pattern to make. This is the Nightshift by Andrea Mowry, but it is way smaller than her version. At the time, I had never worked a written knitting pattern before. This was my very first one, and I definitely did not want to spend all of that money on the recommended yarn, on the spin cycle. So I had just gone to Hobby Lobby and bought yarn that sort of looked like it. So it is 100% acrylic. I have no idea what it was called. It rolls really bad. I've attempted to block it, but it does nothing for it. Nothing. But it is still fun. I do wear it sometimes. But yeah, just wanted to show you that. And then about a year ago, so I first got started with the crafty YouTube in the sewing world, and I do love those videos, but I never felt capable of doing them, if that makes sense. I'm not much of a teacher, and most of those sewing videos are tutorials. They're step-by-step how people made things, and I enjoy watching those kinds of videos, but I did not want to make any of those kinds of videos. And then I think it was about a year ago, it popped up on my recommended for Inga on the Knitting Traditions podcast, and I watched all of her podcasts that have been published up to that point. I think like 20 episodes maybe, and I was hooked. So really ever since then, I've been wanting to do this, and I had done this knitting pattern by that point, but after kind of getting into the knitting podcast world, I really wanted to make a garment. So I made a camisole number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, because I was thinking, you know, not having sleeves would make anything easier, right? And it was not the worst garment pattern to start out with. I definitely learned lots of new skills while doing it, but it was really nice because I learned all about, you know, make one lefts, make one rights. I learned how to do the double knitting. It was great. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got started with all of this, but it's been a long time coming to actually get to the point of making this video. I just got married in October, so I kind of wanted to wait until after that because that's when we were moving to Virginia. And then by the beginning of the year, since I am an accountant, I do taxes. Tax season runs from February to April. I knew that if I started it, it would be really hard to keep up with, especially just starting out during tax season. So I kind of skipped that. And then we had to move up here to Connecticut. And yeah, the next few months are going to be crazy too, so I just decided to go for it. And I'm really glad that I did, and hopefully all of you will enjoy this, if anyone ever even watches it. And if not, that's totally fine too, because it's just nice to be able to talk about all these things that I love so much. Yeah, so I think that's probably all the introduction that any of you could possibly want. I'm already almost 9 minutes in, so let's get going. What I'm wearing today is one of my finished objects. This is the Stripey turtle tank. It is by Emily of the, she just rebranded, but the Gently Chaotic Knits podcast, and I made it in Sewrella's spring tonals. I had a mini set that I used for the stripes, and then a full skein that I used for the blue, and I still have quite a bit left over, so yeah, it was a great project. The only thing which I'm kind of mad at myself about, so I blocked it and dried it outside in the sun, and y'all probably won't be able to tell. My husband tells me he can't tell, but you can see the back the colors are a bit more vibrant than on the front. The sun faded the front where I had it laid out to dry. That's never happened with anything else I made before. I don't know what happened, but yeah, so that's kind of disappointing because I really loved the colors, but especially this color here faded so much that you can kind of only barely see it now. But I still like it a lot. If I were to do it again, I would probably decrease more so that these straps weren't quite so thick. Sorry about that. Hopefully things haven't moved around too much. I got a call and it cut off my recording, but I'm pretty sure I was talking about this tank top I'm wearing. If I remember right, I was just saying that if I ever made this again, I would definitely decrease more so that the strap wasn't so thick. It gives it more of a kind of vest feel rather than a tank top, but I do like wearing it with this because the whole strap is, you know, not hidden by the overalls. Anyway, lots of fun. I do enjoy it. This was my first finished object of July, I believe. Also, speaking of, if any of you look back at my channel, you will notice that it is primarily based on paper. I originally got into crafty YouTube because of junk journals, and I still do love that world. I don't really make junk journals anymore, but I have been keeping this project log for all of my projects for, well, that's not the 2022 page, for all of my projects for this year, and I've just been listing all my projects. I have currently finished 46 so far this year. That includes sewing and embroidery and stuff. That would be a lot of knitting projects for me to have finished. I'm not that fast. But it's been a lot of fun. But this is like my cover page for July. These are my plans. This is what I actually got done. And then I have little pages for each project. So, this is also what I'm kind of referencing when I'm looking down. And if anything like this is something that you guys are interested in, I could talk more about it. It is definitely an interest of mine. Paper, I love paper, but I know it's probably not quite the same community as yarn. So yeah, the other thing that I finished this month that is the thing I've definitely, it's my favorite one for this month, is my pressed flower shawl. And I absolutely adore it. This is a pattern by Amy Christoffers. This was also in Sewrella yarn. I discovered Sewrella at the beginning of this year, and she is my very favorite hand dyer. So I ordered this yarn in her Knitflix collection that she did in the spring. So this variegated color, which I used as my main color, is called Shop Around the Corner. And then the pink, the contrast color is Maison, which was one of the spring tonals. And it is so beautiful. I love it. My favorite kind of knitting projects are definitely shawls. I like to wear them all the time. Whenever I'm working, because I work from home, I just like to wear it like this. But then it's also great just to throw on, you know, like a triangle scarf for whenever I am out and about. And I really enjoyed this pattern. I also have yarn to make another one, so I'm calling this one my spring pressed flowers. And then I got the kit that Birch Grove did for the one that's on her Instagram. Do use these two colors with this one as the main and this one as the contrast. These are called Hemlock and Understory. So I'm hoping to do that around November, probably. I'd love to get that done before Christmas so I can wear it at Christmas. Yes, and then one of my goals for this year was to hand make all of my Christmas presents that I'm giving to family. So I completed 2 this month. They're the same pattern, and I highly doubt that they would ever watch this video. So these are for my sisters. I sent them a screenshot of all the color options, and as you can see, we're dealing with 2 different personalities here, but they each picked out the yarn. I did not tell them what it was for, so it's still a surprise. And I made them each a scarf number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So that is very exciting. They were really fun to knit, came together pretty quickly. The only thing I did differently, because I'm pretty sure the pattern says should just bind off in pattern, is I did a sewn bind off, because I did a sewn bind off on the pressed flowers, and I just think it looks so good and is so stretchy that I did that on these. And speaking of Christmas presents, I had a couple other finished objects that I wanted to show you, but they're not quite as recent. Since I'm going to stay with my family for a little while my husband's at his military training, I am going to go ahead and take all these back to my parents' house so that they can stay there and be ready for Christmas. I don't have to worry about packing or shipping them later. So these are 2 Oslo hats, one for my brother, one for my dad, and I love this pattern as well. I've now made it 4 times. Last year for Christmas, I made my husband and I matching ones. So this one is for my brother. I did the second to largest size, although he's hit quite the growth spurt and is now taller than me, so maybe I should have made him the men's size. But anyway, regardless, I think he will love it. And then, oh, and these are in Sunday held double. I don't remember the colors because I'm pretty sure there are actually just numbers. This one's a nice like olive green, and this one I do remember on the website was called ink blue. And I made my dad a pair of matching fingerless gloves. This is also a pattern that I really, really love. I've made it so many times now. I made a pair for my mom, I made a pair for one of my sisters, I made a pair for myself, for my husband, and now for my dad as well. This is from this book, More Last Minute Hand Knitted Gifts by Joelle Hoverson. Lots of fun, relatively quick patterns in here. Lots that I would still like to make. And then look how cute this is. It's called the Huggable House. I would love to make that someday. But the one I've definitely made the most is, so let me see if I can show you the picture. It's called the Dreaming of Spring Fingerless Gloves. I have the, just, there they are. So I just covered up the pattern with the piece of paper I used to mark my rows. But yeah, I'll put that back up later. Yeah, so those are some of the Christmas gifts. And then I also made this for my mom. It is the Newsprint Cowl by Purl Soho. Really fun pattern. You knit it in stockinette, so this side out, but it's meant to be worn with the purl side. and it's very pretty. So really nice pattern. Very excited to gift all of those, and I hate the stress of shipping things and such at the holidays, so it will be good to go ahead and take them at least to their final destination, even though they won't be gifted for a little bit longer. So there is that. And then my last thing is actually, well, last knitted thing, it's actually technically a half finished object. It's this sock. I did make a pair of socks before. They did not turn out very well. I made them toe up and the bind off was too tight for me to get my foot into. And yeah, that was probably about two and a half years ago. And this is the first sock I've made since then. So I made it to fit my husband's foot. I wanted to have it done before he went off to his training, because I will show you when I talk about the whips next. I had some plans and I needed to know what was going to fit his foot. So I do have this. This is in the other ball here, I can tell you. Patton's Croy in the color Route 66. And I hear people talk all the time about how they can get two socks out of one of those 50-gram balls. And I know that this was a men's sock, but I really don't feel like, I don't know. It used every single little scrap of that 50-gram ball. I was worried I was gonna have enough yarn to do the Kitchener on the toe, but I don't know. I don't know how people get multiple socks out of a 50-gram ball. But maybe it's just because it's a men's sock. But yeah, so there's that. And I followed Summerly Knits basic sock pattern for this. So sorry, I'm trying to look at the actual camera. I'm just recording this on my phone, and it's so hard not to look at the screen. Yeah, anyway. So now I'll show you my last finished object first. So I did one sewing project last month, and it is this dress. So, oops, it has a very wide neck, so it's kind of hard to get to stay on the hanger. But I used Simplicity S9327, did view B, and I'm very happy with it. It's a fun pattern. It has a deep V in the back, which I think makes it a little different from a lot of other sewing patterns, and I really love it. It has princess seams, did the ruffles on the collar, and I wanted to do the ruffle at the hem, but I was making this dress to wear to a wedding and I just ran out of time. I still have the hem cut out, I mean the ruffle, it's in this box, so I'll probably add it on at some point, but today is not that day. And oops, it does have pockets, as all great dresses do. And so yeah, a lot of fun. This is just some cotton fabric. It has some nice texture to it in these striped bits. I'm pretty sure I just got it at Hobby Lobby, but yeah, lots of fun. The only thing I would do differently is I put the hook and eye on backwards, and so all night it was kind of stabbing me, but it was still a great dress. And I do have these tags, say MadyMack on them. I guess I didn't really explain where the name comes from. MadyMack is the name I've always kind of crafted under. My middle name is Mackenzie, so Madeline Mackenzie, MadyMack. No one calls me that. I don't go by any nicknames. I've always just been Madeline, but MadyMack is just kind of my creative name. So that's why I name the podcast. Nice. All right, so that's all the things that I finished last month. I think that's kind of the structure I'm going to try to go with. I really enjoy Stress Knits podcast, and she always does like July makes August plans, and I think that's probably as soon as I could record and actually have things to talk about. Some people seem to be able to make multiple sweaters in a week. That is not me. I am a slow knitter, and I just need more time to get things done. So once a month is really my goal. Yes, so I guess it's time to move on to works in progress. Oh, I left my projects over here. All right, so I just have this yarn bowl here, which I have my small projects in. This is the one that I'm working on the most right now. I am really trying to get it done pretty quickly. This is another Christmas present. This is the Stria hat by Dyers Knits, Andrea Mowry. And I know this was her weekend challenge not all that long ago. I have no idea how anyone made this in a weekend. It has been at least a week, and I'm not even to the decreases yet. It is a great pattern though. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's the first time I'd ever done half fisherman's rib, so that's been a lot of fun. It is not nearly as difficult as I thought it was going to be. And this is a Christmas gift for my mother-in-law. I made her a cowl last year, and these black and whites, and so this is made out of leftovers, so it will match the cowl. This is all I had left of the main color, so it is the contrast color. I barely had enough, and I've already used half of it, so I really hope I don't run out. And then this had been the contrast color on the cowl, so now it's the main color of the hat. Just doing it on the recommended US size 2 needles. And I have a little sheep on here because it's like the whole black sheep, white sheep, I don't know, sort of story, but it's all in the same hat. I don't know. I thought it was cute. I subscribed to Row 1 for a couple of months. It's a mini skein subscription, and it would always come with these cute little stitch markers. Here's the little sheep one that I have on here. That is my first whip. And then to kind of go back to the socks that I had mentioned before. So I also mentioned that my husband and I, we got married in October. We stopped in Charleston, South Carolina for our honeymoon, and on our last day there, I went to a yarn shop. I wanted to get something to commemorate the event, and we each picked out a ball of sock yarn. I have caked them up into 50-gram cakes each. So this is the color that Matthew, my husband, picked, and then this is the color I picked. And so by October 23rd, our anniversary, I want to have each of us a pair of socks. That's why I needed to know how big to make his socks. So that's what I'm doing this, and why I've stopped at 1 with this colorway, and I'm making a new one. But this sock yarn is very, very different from this sock yarn. So I'm hoping that the math all still works out the same way. These were Universal Yarns Bamboo Pop Sock. Here's the tag. And it is 55% bamboo, 37% cotton, 8% PBT. and it is very soft. It's definitely more of a summer fiber than this, which I'm pretty sure is like 75/25 merino nylon. So very, very different. I don't know if you'll be able to tell how tiny, tiny, tiny this is coming out. But yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm just hoping that, given I'm still a relatively new sock knitter, this is my first successful sock, that I'll be able to get 4 socks done by then. I think I've given myself enough time. As I said, not till October 23rd, so that gives me more than 2 months. That should be enough time, right? And then I have minis picked out for each of the heels. These are from row 1. For him, I have this Dirty Slate by Murky Depths. And then I have Starfish by Polka Dot Sheep. Yeah. Right. So, those are my small whips. Oh, and down here in my pile of yarn tags, the colors, oh, wrong tags. The colors from that hat are Purl Soho's Line Weight in Soft Black and Wheat Flour. Yes. Now, this is my biggest whip. So back in January, the Crazy Sock Lady, Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady, hosted a knit along for cabled sweaters. That's back when I started this. So that tells you how long it's been going on. I got a little carried away, I think. This will be the first full-sized sweater that I've ever made, and I chose to make the Saven sweater by, oh gosh, I've just forgotten the designer's name. I will look it up for next time, but it was made for Hudson West. It's made in their yarn called Forge, and I wanted to make it for my husband. So not only is it my first sweater, but it's my first cabled sweater, and I did it in men's size. And it's also knitted flat and then seamed. So it's kind of a major undertaking. I have both sleeves finished. Here's one. Here is the other. These are both blocked. So this is all ready to go. By the time I finished both of these, it was warming up outside and I wanted to make summer things. So I kind of put it on hold. I do have I think it's the front panel. Honestly, I'll have to double check and see. But I have it started, and yes, as soon as I finish that hat, this is going to become my primary project, because I am a deadline oriented person. Most accountants, I would say, are, especially if you work in tax. Pretty much my whole life is guided by deadlines, and I don't necessarily find that stressful. I find it motivating. I know not everyone's that way, but I like to give myself deadlines. It gives me something to work towards, keeps me from procrastinating or putting things off. And so I'm setting a deadline for this sweater for my birthday. My birthday is November 10th, and I want to be able to wear coordinating sweaters. So I bought another one of the patterns made for Hudson West yarn. I'm so sorry, I forgot I just think of them as Hudson West patterns. I know that's not right. They were designed by a specific person for Hudson West. I will look up their names for next time. But I bought another pattern called Ward that I want to make for myself. It's more of like a boxy sweater with a funnel neck, and it has really pretty cables on it as well. And I want to make that one for myself. So I would really like to get this one done as quickly as possible so that I can start on the one for me. I don't mind having multiple things on the needles at once, but if I'm motivated by wanting to get the next one on, but I can't tell myself I can't do that until I finish this one, I will finish this one more quickly. So that is this project. The yarn, as I said, is by Hudson West, and their worsted weight base called Forge in the color Fawn. Really nice yarn. I really like it a lot. I'd like to get it in their pink color. I think it's called Dusk, and make the Ingrid sweater by Petite Knit. But I have to finish a few more things before I can buy any more yarn. It is 70% merino, 30% Corriedale, and I like it a lot. Yes, so that is my biggest whip, and I will hopefully be much farther along on it by the next time I see you guys. And then I'm also working on the Frequency sweater by Tina Say. I hope I'm saying that right. I think it goes like this. This is my first ever color work project, and I thought that the little kind of, well, this first section at least was 1x1 color work, but these straight lines, I thought it would be a great starting place for color work. It is in, I'll just grab the full skein that I have. It is in the Wandering Flock, her merino singles base. This one is called Fool's Gold, which I'm using for my main color, and then my contrast color is this really pretty pink, which is Rose Gold. I'll show you it in the cake. It's got some really nice mustard speckles in it. It's kind of a low contrast pairing, but I really like that, especially in case I mess up. It won't be quite so obvious. Yeah, this is a fingering weight sweater. I'm gonna do the short sleeve version like is on her example. Yeah, I'm not in a huge hurry to finish this, mostly because I know it's gonna take forever anyway. I don't really have a deadline for this one. It is in a good color for fall also, so if I don't finish it for a couple of months, I'm not really worried about it. I have other things that are much higher priority. This one is a really nice one to take on planes and stuff, which is what I've mostly been doing with it so far, because it doesn't take up that much space, and planes kind of give you enough time to sit down and think about things. So whenever I do get to, you know, the next color work section, you know, you have a couple hours uninterrupted. Also, since I am originally from Arkansas, that is more the kind of weather that I mentally plan for. It never really gets all that cold there. It's kind of cold from like January to March, but yeah, so this fingering weight sweater honestly will be way more appropriate for than now. It's 100+ degrees there pretty much all summer. So yeah, although I am in Connecticut right now, which is, you know, a much better place for wearing sweaters, but we're only really supposed to be here until December, so hopefully we'll miss the coldest season, because I'm not mentally prepared for that. But yeah, anyway, y'all don't need to hear about that. So this is my next project, and then this last one I have to show you has not technically been cast on yet, but I am very excited about it. This is inspired by Emily of the Gently Chaotic Knits. podcast, she did a Briochealicious in linen quill. I have quite a bit of linen quill. Some of this is leftovers, some of this is full skeins. I am doing the main color for my Briochealicious in the same color that she did, which is honey pink. It's just a really pretty, like light peach sort of tone. And then for my 3 contrast colors, I'm doing turmeric yellow, which I used in a half and half that I made earlier this year. And then High Tide, which is going to be part of my next half and half wrap. And then Rhubarb Pink, which I just have full skein of. It is not going to be a half and half wrap. So those are my 3 contrasts and the main. So I'm very excited about these. They're kind of similar to her colors, but I think she did more of like a pale blue and a true red. Yeah, so very much inspired by her. The Briochealicious by Andrea Mowry. As I said, I'm very much a shawl gal. So far this year I've made 1 half and half wrap in that pressed flower shawl. I would like to still be able to make this one and another pressed flower shawl in those darker colors that I showed you, and then maybe start my other half and half in time to be working on it at Christmas. I think that would be a great holiday project, so that I know it's definitely going to keep me busy through the whole holiday season, but isn't so complicated that I can't hold a conversation. So that is my next whip coming up. Just put those back away. And as far as plans go, I am going to stay with my parents for about 2 months. So I have to pack 2 months worth of projects. So this basket that I keep pulling things out of right here, this is the basket of yarn that I'm planning on taking. As I said, I'm not that fast, so the likelihood of using all this is very, very low, but I like having options. So in this basket, which I'll show you. Here we go. I have the rest of the skeins that I have of Forge, so that I will be able to finish the Saven sweater. And this is the color that I have for my cable knit sweater that I'm going to make. It's called Ward. I have 6 skeins of this. It is also the Forge base in the color Lake. So that is honestly half the basket though. So, and I do hope that most of this will get used up. I also have the other 50-gram skeins in here of that sock yarn, so I'll pull these out as soon as I finish those first socks. And then this, just in case I want to finish that pair of socks. And then, if you can't tell, I enjoy coordinating with my husband, and he humors me. It is great. Last year for Christmas, I made us matching hats. We both, I made Oslo hats in Sunday Held Double in the color Croissant. This year for Christmas, I have these sock sets from Willow Cottage Yarns. Just got these off Etsy. On her cobalt sock sets in the color North Pole. So got these, got different colored mini skeins to make Christmas socks. So yeah, if I finish our anniversary socks, I will then make Christmas socks. I also have these 2 skeins of Purl Soho's Posy. This is color Dusk Blue and Pear Green. Together, They're Seahawks colors. My husband's originally from the Seattle area, and so I'm making his dad a hat for Christmas. I'm planning on making the Harlow hat. At the time when I bought these, I had planned on making a different hat. I thought they were 100 gram skeins. They came in the mail. They're actually only 50. Harlow hat requires 30 grams of each color. So I'm going to be making that. And then I have more Sewrella yarn. This is also from her Knitflix collection. This is the color Casita, based on, can't believe I just blanked. The Disney movie that came out recently. Do not talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno's song. Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. It'll come to me later. But I got 200 gram skeins of her worsted weight to make my little niece a sweater. It's the Novice Sweater Junior by Petite Knit. I'm planning on making the, I think it's 4 to 6 size. She will be 5 years old in March. No, I'm actually gonna have to double check that. I know last year for Christmas I made her a dress in a size 4, so I'm aiming for at least one size up this time because I definitely want it to fit for a while. So I think it's 4 to 6. If not, I'll be making probably the size in that range. And then her little brother, my nephew, he will be 1 in November. So I'm gonna make him a little bitty. I'm gonna make him an anchor sweater baby. I'm planning on making the 2-year-old size. And this is just yarn from Hobby Lobby. It is Yarn Bee. It is 100%, no, it's not 100%. It's 50% merino, 25% acrylic, 25% nylon. It is machine washable. Wanted it to be nice and easy to use since it's for such a youngin'. And my original plan was for her little sweater to be more machine washable also. But look at this. How could I possibly pass this up? It is so beautiful. So I'll probably knit up a swatch, put it in the washer on cold, and then just let it air dry. See if it survives, because I know the sweater will probably get more wear if it can be washed. But if not, at least it'll be pretty. Yeah, so that is all of the yarn that I'm taking with me that I actually think I might be able to use. Let's see if I can put these back. Oh, and I am taking one more skein of this Wandering Flock with me, just in case I make some good progress on my frequency sweater. I'm also taking these 2 skeins to try to find potential matches for them. There are no yarn stores in my immediate vicinity here, and there's only one near where my parents live, but I'll be driving past several, so hopefully I'll be able to stop somewhere along the way and find it. They're both also Sewrella yarn. You may be sensing a theme. This is from her Greatest Hits collection in the color Evermore. I want to make a Wednesday sweater with this. I bought this last year and I haven't found a pairing for it yet. I believe that the pattern is originally written for mohair held with Phil Kalana Peruvian Highland wool, but if you're watching this and you've purchased that in the US before, please let me know where it's from. I'm having a very hard time finding it online, and I can't find any stores anywhere near me that carry it. But I looked up on Yarn Sub, and there's a yarn that's apparently very similar that I have been wanting to try for a long time. It is the Kelborn Woolens Germantown, and I looked it up online. There are 2 colors that I think could potentially match with this very well, but I would like to see them in person, so hopefully I'll get to do that. And then this is Sewrella's Surrey Lace. This was one of the spring tonals in the color Jardin, and I would like to use this for a hat, I think. So just need to find a good pairing for it. Yeah, so that's all the yarn that I'm taking. I am planning on bringing my sewing machines with me. Is that overly ambitious? Probably, but why not? So this basket is just full of all the projects that I already have cut out that I will be taking with me. I have this really cute Peter Pan fabric that I cut out. I at one point bought all this Peter Pan fabric thinking that I could make baby quilts and sell them. It's too cute. I will save them for when we eventually have children, or for when a family member has a child. I am not getting rid of this fabric. I love it too much. It is just so cute. So I would like to work on that a little bit, just because I enjoy quilting, and baby quilts are a much better size than queen size quilts, which is the only other thing I've done so far. I have this pair of shorts that all I need to do to finish them is finish pulling the elastic through. I haven't made it very far yet, but that's all I have left on these. I have another project that I really just need to finish. Another thing that I would love tips on, if any of you are sewers out there. This dress has shirring at the top. No matter how hard I try, I can't get any of my practice runs for my shirring to work. I have tried all the different tension stitch length combinations that I can think of. Nothing is stretchy. These are all my practice runs here. None of them work. It is really pretty fabric though. I just love it. So I have the whole dress put together. I just can't figure out the shirring at the top. So hopefully I can do that before it's no longer summer and I can't wear it. I don't know if y'all are interested in this at all, but I'll just show you quickly. I am taking this pattern, this skirt pattern by McCall's. It has this very pretty fabric. I'm going to a wedding in October for one of my dear friends from college, and I would like to be able to wear this skirt, so I need to work on that. I have the ruffle to my other dress, which hopefully I'll put on. And then I have another skirt pattern. And I have this fun Swiss dot fabric that I'd like to use for it. So those are projects that I would like to take with me. Most of those relatively small projects, and then the quilt will just be nice to kind of have. So hopefully I could get those out, stuck myself the pen and get those things done while I am there as well. So yes. Oh yes. One more thing. I only have one acquisition to show you all, and it's one that I'm very, very excited about. So, my sweet husband gave me a set of Lika needles. I really have no idea how you say that correctly, but whenever I started knitting seriously, I bought a set of interchangeable needles. I got the bamboo ones off of Amazon, and they're great. They work great, but they're more function than anything. And as soon as I saw this set of needles, I wanted it so bad. I told my husband, and he surprised me with them. So here are the Lika Cipra needles. They're copper ones. and I got them in the 5-inch size. Are they beautiful? They're so pretty. I love them so much. I've already used them a few times, but I wanted them to all be here in all their glory to show you. And I am just so excited to keep using them. They feel really good. I'm not really a metal needle person because I don't like the clicking sound. That's why I prefer wood. But these don't click. They're amazing. And it's so much easier to like slip your yarn off of them than with the wooden ones. So yes, just overall completely thrilled with them. They're beautiful. I'm so happy. And now that I've shown them to you, I'm going to transfer all of my projects onto them. So yes, very excited about this. And just think about how well they're going to coordinate with all my projects. You can tell that this is in my color scheme. Yeah, so very excited about these. And yes. So if anyone actually did end up watching this video, especially all the way to the end, thank you so much for joining me. Please tell me a little something about yourself down in the comments. Love to know what you're working on, where you're from, where you're watching from, and yeah, tell me something that you're looking forward to. It's always nice to be able to be working towards something. All right. Well, hopefully I will talk to you guys again in about a month. Until then, I hope you're all doing really well and you're making things that make you happy. All right.